So, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. My last video I posted up, by the time you see this, it'll probably be privatized at this point because that was not the best I could have realistically done as it regards to how I legitimately felt about the most recent English conference and announcement of the upcoming BCS season. Um, and for that, I legitimately want to apologize because maybe I was a bit overreactive toward it, but also maybe I was a bit hasty to even make the video in the first place. Kind of my whole line of process with a lot of this stuff is a lot of the same things I saw happen with V Premium is kind of happening with Premium, and I'm gonna have a whole separate video covering that specific side of it, what my takes are with the whole BCS season, and just how I feel Premium is going as a whole, and why I think the overall division between Standard and Premium is really a bad thing in some aspects. And that will be up on a completely separate video. Link will be in the description below. Depending on which video you see first, you may see this one first or you may see that one first. I intend for both of them to be up at the same time, though. This, however, is just going to be a quick channel update. Maybe not so quick, but just kind of go over my initial thought process of why I ultimately decided that I kind of don't want to do Vanguard content anymore. And there's a whole slew of different thoughts and opinions on it. And one thing I will say is I was working on a few videos, one of which I already fully rendered and edited. It just has to go up. And then the other two are work in progresses. But the point I'm trying to get at is that I really just don't feel motivated, especially after the recent announcements, to actually make much Vanguard content. And especially since I'm more of a premium content creator and not a standard content creator, it's just there hasn't been a whole lot, especially when the format I feel like has been kind of stale. A lot of the same decks are still doing well. Not a whole lot has really changed, and things have only gotten worse in light of all the loop decks such as Shout Loop, as a loop, and even Fenrir FTK. So for me personally, it's kind of not the best time to be a premium player personally. And so the point I'm trying to get at is I kind of just burnt out. If you ask me what really led to it, it was just honestly because I had been doing this for a while, on and off, honestly, just because of school, but also because there's just so much other shit going on in my own personal life to a point where it's kind of hard for me to sit down, commit a couple hours to making a video, editing it, rendering it, having it upload to YouTube, make the perfect thumbnail, the whole 9 yards. And so that's really hard for me to sit down and actually do. One, for such a niche, part of the game that I actually like. And two, considering that I really haven't made that much progress as in terms of, viewership, subscribers, the whole 9 yards. And I admit it's a little demotivating, especially when maybe it's because they cater more so towards standard, but there's a lot of other content creators and it's kind of hard to not notice that they just suddenly get a lot of growth, and then I'm just sitting here with the limited amount of views, and it kind of made me realize maybe this isn't all it, and maybe I could be doing something different, something more, something I wanted to try to do for a very long time. And so that's why I'm kind of, after these next few videos go up, I'm probably going to just take a break from making Vanguard content altogether and focus on my one passion that I really, really enjoy. And that is Pokemon. And especially as of late, with Pokemon Champions right around the corner, and obviously Legends ZA, when that game comes out in October, there's going to be a lot of content I'm going to want to do for Pokemon, more so in specific, moreover than Cardfight Vanguard, which has kind of felt a little awkward playing over the last few years, just from my own personal experience. And it's weird because, like I kind of hinted toward, if you actually did see the other video that I privatized, if the initial reason why I made this channel in the first place was because, Pokemon's not looking too good, let me jump onto Vanguard because now it's looking good. And now the pendulum is swung back in Pokemon's favor, essentially. And so I'm at a point where I'm just like, damn, yeah, I just don't feel too good about playing Vanguard at the moment. Again, why I feel like it is going to go up on a completely separate video. But that the combination of really bad and awkward timed ban lists in English combined with the utter lack of what appears to be just premium support in general, both as in terms of official product as well as, actual official events, it kind of just doesn't make me feel good about it. And while I have been enjoying Standard over the past year, with Luard coming out, with all the other stuff that's come out of Divines, my second new favorite deck being Artisaria, like it's a lot of fun. But if I'm being 100% transparent, I much prefer to play Premium. I think the interactions that come out of that format just naturally feel more inclined to what I'm already used to. And so, while a lot of people sit there and make the complaint and be like, oh, if you don't like Standard, just play Premium. But when there's barely any Premium support, you kind of can't help but to play Standard at that point. So that's where my initial dilemma is at. And again, I'm going to go more into detail with that later, but I just wanted to make that very clear just so that way you guys understand my thought process. And so the reason why everything went to complete shit was simply because, one, there was no premium ban list despite the format desperately needing it going into the BCS season. And secondly, and probably the biggest one, is that not every single location in BCS will have premium support for day 2. And there's a whole slew of different things that could be happening with it. And I understand that. And so maybe that was initially the reason why I was a bit hasty, because I saw the same signs happen with V Premium, except at least with V Premium, they said it formally straight up like, hey, we're ending support for it. I can very well see a world where they just do that. And if that's the case, then it's just doesn't feel good. So I want to keep my options open. And so I want to go through with making Pokemon content going forward. To be honest, I kind of want to focus more so into it heavily toward the end of the year because of the releases coming up right around the corner. And so that's kind of where my attention more so focuses on. Don't get me wrong, like I kind of want to make more Vanguard content. I kind of don't, but it mostly just depends on what they do for the 15th anniversary, because that is going to probably make or break the entirety of the game as a whole. And a lot of people, admittedly, I kind of fueled this a bit, and I do apologize for it, but I feel like a lot of people are saying Premium is dead, and then there's a bunch of Standard players that are just kind of dancing all over our grave, and you would think they would be a little more sympathetic, but no, they're just dancing all over our graves and shit, and that just feels bad. So that's kind of another massive reason why I kind of don't want to make Vanguard content. It's just like, what's the fucking point when I try to do Standard content and then I get essentially shit on for some of my decision making, instead of being more like understanding of shit, I don't know. I hope I make sense when I explain that, but like, it just doesn't feel good. And it reminds me of a lot of the stuff that I hated about Pokemon a few years back with Sword and Shield and the National Dex movement, all the negativity that came from that side of the community. Added on to that was right around 2021, right around the announcement of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, as well as Legends Arceus, the community I was a part of, known as the Silver League, was discontinued due to allegations with their main owner. And so all of that combined kind of fueled my disgust for Pokemon at the time. And so I kind of sat there and I was just like, yeah, I just kind of want to do something different. And so now it's kind of a similar boat where a lot of the stuff I don't like about Vanguard right now is impacting my love for the game. So I want to go back on the other game I'm really interested in and focus more so on that for a bit and make content for that game. And so I hope that my thought process and my logic makes a little more sense instead of it just being rambly and me being on the hate train and shit. And a lot of people did understand, like, hey, it's okay for you to have an opinion about things too. Like, I actually got a few comments being on the privatized video where it was like, yeah, dude, we completely understand how you feel, because like that's not easy to go through, and you're not wrong for having an opinion, and especially against a company that has anti-consumer like practices and shit. Like, that's very understandable. And so I, I've always been Bushiroad's biggest criticizer, and so like anytime they do something really stupid, especially if it's late, I'm not afraid to call them out on their bullshit. And so it just sucks because I don't always want to be like that, and I think a lot of people don't want to be like that with their favorite game. You know, whether it be Vanguard, whether it be some other card game like One Piece, Lorcana, even Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, I know Yu-Gi-Oh's been going through a lot of shit right now too, with their retro formats, and just the way how like their YCSs and just official events in general are being run at the moment. And so they're going through a lot of shit too. And so that made me as a Vanguard player kind of sympathize a bit, kind of going off on a tangent, but like that's like you would think that people would be a little more sympathetic, And so I get it. If you want to sit there and say, oh, you were being a crybaby, you were being kind of being a doomer. Yeah, I kind of was a bit. I'm not going to deny that. But I want to at least acknowledge that, yeah, I fucked up. So I do apologize for that. It's something I know I have to work on, but rather than me just saying it, I'm just going to just do that at some point. So that's why the other video is up right now. If you want to go and hear my thoughts on the latest like product stream, the BCS season, and the state of both standard and premium, I highly recommend you to go check out that video. And I'm gonna be blunt, right? If you're not so into Pokemon in any sort of way and you want to unsubscribe, don't hesitate to do so. I do understand that there may not be ass crossover as much as I would imagine, but I would appreciate it if you would at least stick around and see what I have before like considering that. If not, it's whatever, I understand, like, you subscribed for one thing. I don't want to force you to stay here if you don't feel like you're interested in any of the stuff I'm going to be doing. As in terms of the actual, like, Vanguard stuff, I intend to upload a few more videos. I've got a tier list on the works. I got a deck profile in the works for standard. Maybe I'll do a deck profile for premium, just so that way I covered all my bases over the next few weeks. And then after that, my semester is going to be starting up, so yeah, I'm going to be a bit busy on that front, so my upload schedule will be a little bit inconsistent as in terms of the Vanguard stuff for now, but beyond that, I don't know if I want to do anything else. And then when it comes to premium, I don't know if I want to make more premium content. If I do, again, maybe it'll be a deck profile, but honestly, that's just how I feel. Yeah, that's just kind of the way how I'm seeing it. And once I stop making Vanguard content on this channel, I'm going to be kind of more so focused on the Pokemon side of it. And so once again, like I said, like once those videos goes up and you kind of notice, okay, there's no more Vanguard content going up on this channel, I kind of just don't want to be interested. That's fine. Go ahead and unsubscribe. I'm not going to judge, especially in light of all the crap I've said over the years. I'm just appreciative that you stuck with me until the end of that point, And who knows, maybe things will change for the 15th anniversary. And like a lot of people like Commander Jaime, Devlin Cassidy, the whole 9 yards, they've been kind of like Van Cole, they've all been kind of expressing like, hey, maybe things aren't that as bad as we seem. And maybe they're going to go all out for the 15th anniversary. I don't know, but I'm not chancing it. So that's why I'm making Pokemon content for the foreseeable future. So when it comes to the Pokemon content in particular, I've got one mega project I've been working on for quite a while at this point. I don't know if I'll have it ready in time for September, but I'm hoping to get it out before Legends ZA, because then at that point it's just going to be awkward. It'll be kind of like the last like major hurrah before that game comes out. And then as in terms of actual Pokemon content, in terms of what I intend to do, I want to do some VGC content, because I'm just starting to understand how VGC works a bit. I also do want to, do some Pokemon TCG content as well, because there's a new set coming out right around the corner, with the Mega Evolution set, Mega Mawile, which is my personal favorite Mega Evolution. Kind of works pretty well with our Chaladon as well, so I'm kind of going to be experimenting with a list for that, among a few other things when Mega Gengar comes out, because that looks pretty good, especially with all the Dark type support that's come out throughout the last few years. So I kind of want to experiment with that on TCG Live and just see how things play out. And then in terms of just casual content, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do. Like I said, I'm working on a mega project, so maybe that comes out and you guys get your fix. But well, one thing I will say, for regardless what kind of content I post up in the future, I'm going to try to commit to one video a week. I realize that may not always happen, and I'll probably update you guys as things go along to be a little more transparent, so that way I'm not always just AFK and shit. I just got to see how this semester plays out, was really the big thing. So, yeah. That being said, if you're interested in my takes with the recent announcements, go check out the video in the description. And until next time, this is Noah, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, everyone.